All right, let's go ahead and get it rocking. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Life of a Champ podcast, episode number 117. For today's podcast, one of my favorite topics to talk about is dating. So, we're going to be discussing dating red flags. So, these are going to be things that I have seen myself and also things that I've experienced in my time of dating for sure. So, just to give you some context, I haven't been in a relationship for a minute now. I've had a few situationships for sure. But through those situationships, I was able to learn a lot about people's tendencies, um, what to stay away from, what is actually attractive, and a bunch of different things. So I definitely want to discuss it on today's podcast. A few things I want to mention. Make sure you go and follow me on TikTok, just like the channel podcast on TikTok, as well as make sure you go ahead and leave a like on my YouTube Shorts as well as my YouTube clips. If you can't catch a full podcast but still want to get the game that I'm spitting, make sure you go ahead and tap into the clips or the shorts. The shorts are obviously going to be a shorter version of the clips, but the clips are definitely going to be your best bet if for whatever reason you don't want to watch a podcast or you can never catch it live. So let's happen with that for sure. Other than that, we'll get into it. Also, one thing I want to mention as well, if there's something, no, actually, screw that. If there's a specific red flag that you see within men or within women, I want you to go ahead and let me know in the comments because there is a lot of red flags when it comes to dating, when it comes to people's behaviors and things like that. So I want you to let me know your take on some of these things, right? And if you have personally seen some red flags in women or within men, um, because there's going to be a lot. Sadly, there is a lot. Sadly, I've dealt with so much. So we're going to talk about in today's podcast, man. So like I said, make sure you go ahead and leave a like. And like KJ said, say it was good. Hey, Jaden, appreciate you stopping by. KJ, appreciate you holding it down as usual, man. All right, let's get it started, man. Let's get it started, man. Let's get it started, man. So we're gonna talk about. I know people are gonna hate this shit. People are gonna hate this shit, but here's the thing, man. It is what it is, man. So I'm gonna start off with red flags within women, right? I'm gonna start off there, right? Yeah, we're gonna start there, man. So red flags within women. This list is going to be longer than the one for men, in my opinion, because I've just dealt with women, so I know what's red flags. I know what to stay away from, whatever. So to get it started, man, the first red flag within women when it comes to dating, and this is gonna be a question that. Okay, let me go back. Let me go back. Few things I want to say is there's going to be certain red flags that apply to both, but I just have them written down for women or for men, right? There's going to be some that apply to both, of course, right? I'm not just calling out one, I'm calling out both, right? Red flags for both genders is when they be hanging out with you one day and then go see the next, right? That's just a lack of interest, right? There's a lack of interest. Obviously, it's a red flag. But I'm saying with like with some of these red flags are these things that you obviously you guys both have mutual interest. You get to know somebody and then they tell you something or you figure something out about somebody. And you're like, that shit's a red flag. That shit's a red flag. So let's get it started, man. So I'm gonna have to be doing that shit a lot, unfortunately. Red flags within women. So I have asked a few women this question, and unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of women that I see nowadays that for whatever reason don't want to do this, right? And when I ask you this question, I expect an enthusiastic response. But I've had enough women come into my life where they're like, you know what, I don't want to have this, I don't want to do this, or I want to do this a certain way. So the first red flag is going to be women who don't want to have children. Period. Right? You could say whatever you would like. You can say whatever you would like. I've heard a lot of different things about reasons for not having kids. Oh yeah, there's plenty of kids that don't have homes. And yes, that is true, of course. Or, we're overpopulated, even though we really aren't overpopulated. But there's gonna be a few excuses that they have that I've seen time and time again, right? Ultimately, what I realize is this. Most men want children. So if you're a woman and you cannot provide them with the potential of having children, their own children, I'm gonna see that as a red flag. When it comes to evaluating a partner for me, and not only for me, but for just like I said, vetting for my future wife. If she doesn't want to have kids, if I'm talking or dating a woman and she doesn't want to have kids, my own kids, right? It's just kind. I'm just kind of like I'm kind of weary. I'm kind of like, yeah, you already crossed yourself off from being my girlfriend. Straight up, straight up. That's literally how it is. That's literally how it is. Because it is, like I said, something that men want, and or at least I could say 98% of men want their own children, right? So if you're not able to provide that for them, I'm going to perceive that as a red flag, right? And I also can say there's a lot of things that can be said about a woman. There's a lot of assumptions that can be had about a woman because she doesn't want to have children, right? Maybe she's not caring. Maybe she's not nurturing. Maybe she's not feminine as much as you thought, right? There's certain things like that that would be able to be telltale signs of other things when you can just get that one concept in mind, right? Obviously, there'd be assumptions, but that is the first one. The next one is this right here, and this kind of goes for both. This is gonna go for both. I'm gonna say that this is gonna go for both, but I've seen this more within women. I've seen a lot of tendencies that would suggest this, and I would also say women can get away with this a lot more than men. So if you see a woman like this, um, she's still probably going to be able to attract a man. But if you see a man like this, he's going to be less likely to be able to attract an abundance of women. And this is going to be women who are overindulgent, or people who are overindulgent within certain vices, whether this is drinking, whether this is smoking, whether this is whatever, right? If you're a person that cannot live without this, smoking, Nick, especially this one right here, right? It's a red flag. And even if it's a subtle red flag, if you smoke Nick, if you literally cannot live without this little plastic device, right? And you freak out if you do not have it, red flag, instantly red flag. I've seen it time and time again where it says a lot about their character. It says a lot about their own self control, their own self discipline, right? And of course, I can go on and on about this one, but um, basically, when I say overindulgent, what I mean by that is like when you get to the point where it alters your personality, right? When it alters who you truly are. Like I said, you cannot live without it. There's certain things like that, right? Man or woman, it's gonna be a red flag regardless. If you see a man who's just smoking all day long, instant red flag. He's probably not a person who's ambitious. He probably doesn't have his own best interests within in mind, right? And like I said, right, if you're a woman, you smoke a lot, or if you're a woman, you drink a lot, or if you're a woman and you smoke Nick a lot, or whatever drugs, whatever drug of choice, right? And you're overindulgent within that vice, you can get away with it. If you look good, men are still gonna date you. Men are still gonna date you, regardless, right? But what I will say though is the highest quality people are not gonna date those certain people. That's all I'm gonna say. So that's why I think it's a red flag. If you're a high quality man, you're not going to want a woman who's overindulged within vices. If you're a high quality woman, you shouldn't want a man who's going to be overindulged within vices as well. Because, like I said, if you're a person who's drinking all the time, smoking all the time, the odds of you being ambitious is very, very low. Even if you say you are, you still might not be. So that's what I will say. Some people are going to get mad at that. Hey, if you get mad at that, you take offense to that, hey, red flag. That's all I'm going to say, man. That's all I'm going to say. All right. The next one is a very, very good one. Very, very good one. And this is going to go for both, but I'm going to say this more particularly in women for sure because of obvious reasons. The next red flag that I see in women is women who are on dating apps, right? It's automatic red flag, man. Automatic red flag. If I'm dating you and you're on dating apps, automatically I'm going to assume a lot of things about you, right? You're getting an overabundance of attention, and that's going to inflate your ego way too much, right? There's women who are 6s and 7s. I think they're 10s because the amount of attention that they get from men, the amount of validation that they get from men on dating apps that they'll never meet, right? And there's also a lot of women who, first, let me say this, right? The odds of you finding a quality partner on dating apps is very, very low, period. It's almost like trying to find your wife in the club or, you going out, you think, oh yeah, maybe I can find my wife. Like, you're not going to fucking find her because the real quality women, real quality men do not go out like that. They don't. I'm sorry. They just don't. They just don't go out like that. They go out to have a good time, but they don't be going out all the damn time. That's all I'm gonna say, man. So dating apps, like I said, if you're a person that's on dating apps, most men on dating apps are just trying to fuck. Let's keep it 1,000, right? And most women on dating apps are obsessed with attention. That's all I'm gonna say. Like I said, you could take offense to that if you would like. Maybe you're the outlier. Maybe you are the outlier. Maybe you have different intentions in mind when it comes to dating apps. Maybe you are the outlier. But when it comes to when I evaluate my own partner, and if she's on dating apps, automatically you already crossed off the list, bro. You already crossed off the list. Like, nah, I'm good. Because here's the thing: when it comes to dating, at least this is the way that I perceive it, right? When I'm giving my full attention, my full attention to somebody, I don't have the time to be giving out to anybody else. I don't want to give it out to anyone else. When I'm truly like dating somebody, right? I just don't have the time for that shit. So, with that being said, if you're talking to a woman and she's also talking to 6 other guys, or could be potentially messaging 15, 20, 30, 100 other guys, right? It's not the most attractive thing. It's definitely a red flag, and like I said, that's just the way that I see it personally, man. So there's that. And this is going to go hand in hand with this. This is going to be specifically for women. A red flag that I see in women is going to be women who seek male validation. Right. So with this being said, this is going to be posting certain type of photos and things like that because they know they'll get attention, and let's just say they're a little low on confidence and they want a confidence boost, and they'll just go ahead and do that by posting a provocative picture. And of course, men are going to go ahead and comment, giving them the attention. But when a person's whole self worth is wrapped up in the attention that they get from the opposite gender, that's tough, man. That's tough, man. Like I said, confidence should be built within. Confidence is built within, not built within receiving attention and whatever from somebody else, right? That's all I'm going to say. So it is as simple as that, right? If you see a woman on dating apps, or if you see a woman who's excessively seeking male validation, automatically in your head, most men are going to say, that shit's a red flag. GDP, appreciate for soundbite, man. Came just in time, man. Came just in time. So, all right. Another red flag that I see within women, and I see this all the time, especially with the more attractive women, unfortunately, um, is going to be women whose complete sense of self-worth is completely wrapped within their looks and how they look. Um, it's very, very shallow. It's very, very superficial. Like I said, your confidence should be coming within, not what you look like on the outside. Because, um, yeah, you can look good, but here's the thing: if your sense of self-worth is wrapped up in your looks, I automatically think you're stupid. Period. I'm gonna be honest with you. I automatically have the assumption about you that you're probably not that bright, right? The highest quality women that I've met who have also been very, very beautiful get their confidence from something else. That's not male validation, right? Um, and that's also not their looks as well, right? Those women know they look good, and obviously they get attention for it. But at the same time, it's not their identity. It's just who they are. See what I'm saying? It's there's a difference between the way you look being your identity, like who you attach yourself to, and or rather it being your like literally entire person, versus like it just being like a factor that exists, right? So like for me, for example, right, my personality isn't the way that I look. Obviously, I know the way that I look, but it's not something I'm gonna like shove in people's faces. That's just not who I am. I'm not the type to be like, oh yeah, like look at my muscles. And of course, you know, if you see my Instagram, you see me posting, some stuff because I'm proud of the work that I put in. Not and the way that I look is just a visual representation of my progress. That's all it is, right? That's all it is at the end of the day. And I'm just trying to show the visual representation of the hard work that I put in, right? Now, if you're a woman that just did her makeup and like you look good, that's gonna be something else, man. Because here's the thing: if you didn't earn that shit, you didn't earn that shit. To be fair with you, most women didn't. Most women didn't. They're just born that way. They look good, and then it's that, right? And it's just different. It's different when you put in the work versus when you don't put in the work, man. Red flags, but boy, are them. Yeah, they're fun, but you should be looking for wifey material only, man. Come on now, wifey material only. Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. All right. The next one. This is gonna be for both, but I have it in the women's section because I started writing it first. So this is gonna be one that I mentioned on also the podcast of people to go ahead and avoid. Right. This is going to be women who lie, steal, and cheat. You must avoid these types of women. Right. I've encountered a few women where, unfortunately, they would like to lie or they like to steal or oh yeah, in the past I cheated, but I only cheated because of I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You're a fucking cheater. You're a person who lies and you're a person who steals, right? If a woman fulfills all those things automatically, you're done. You're done. You're done. Get up out of there, man. Also with men, right? A man who lies or steals or cheats, they're not good company. They're not good company. I don't give a fuck what nobody tells me. They're not good company, right? You don't want to surround yourself around those types of people. Um, yeah, the reason I put that in women's because I've dealt with more women who lie, steal, and cheat than I have with men who lie, steal, and cheat. But it is what it is. I've heard plenty of women, like I said, right? Oh yeah, I cheated. Have you cheated before? Oh yeah, if I'm to be honest with you, I have cheated before in the past, but I only cheated because he cheated first, or some dumb shit like that. And you're just kind of like, bro, like, why the fuck did you not just leave? Why the fuck did you have to cheat back? It's just stupid. It's just low quality. It's just low quality behavior. That's all it is, man. Stealing, right? Like I said, not only when I say these things like steal, I'm not saying like not only steal to you, like that's something that they do like outside of like your interaction. They go to stores and steal shit. Like that's not high quality, man. Or cheat or lie, right? Like I said, if you're a person who is dating somebody or trying to date somebody and they lie often and you recognize or catch them in their own lies, it's not the best fucking look at all. It's not. And like I said, it's not asking for the best karma. I'm gonna say that, right? It's not asking for the best karma. So whatever happens after that, that's on you because quite frankly, on this side I'm not gonna be lying. But if you lying on that side, one, I'll figure it out, and two, you deserve everything that's coming to you. Simple. That's all it is, man. That's all it is. Another red flag that I've seen within women, and this is gonna go to both to an extent. Of course, it also comes along with the reasoning and the reasoning that they give you. But this is going to be women who are scared of commitment, right? I've dealt with a few women like this in my past, and maybe their reasoning for not wanting to commit is unclear, or at least they didn't communicate that right. But if a woman is really into you and she's not willing to commit to you, that's automatically going to raise some type of awareness. At the very least, it should, because maybe there's a side of the story that she's not telling you. Maybe she's still talking to other people, things like that, right? Um, I have dealt with women like that in the past where I wanted to commit to them, and at times we were exclusive, right? But for whatever reason, they just didn't want that. They didn't want that commitment because some women view commitment as like restraining them or like limiting their freedom type shit. Like, and it's not like that. Like I said, you should want to rightfully be in that position, but like I said, that's on you, fellas. That's on you. But definitely be very weary of this when it comes to women. If there are women that's in their phase of just, I'm not trying to settle down. I just got a relationship. I'm not really trying to settle down. I'm just kind of talking to people. Just casual. Like I'm going through my whole phase. This and this. I'm nah. Fuck that. Fuck that. Stay away from that shit because, like I said, it's just not quality. It's not quality, man. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Uh, Women who are scared of commitment, red flags, man. Red flags. Stay away from them bitches for sure. Give me 1 second. Also, like I said, if there is a specific red flag that you see within men or within women, I want you to go ahead and leave it in the comments for sure. Another red flag seen in women while dating is when the woman is turned off, so she has a side dudes and she's around, she hides her phone, but when she's not looking, tough. That's tough. That's tough. Yeah, that's something that I would say I have seen sometimes as well. Women are a little bit, very very cautious of their phone and shit like that. Yeah, I've seen that for sure. But yeah, that kind of obviously it goes. How much time have you spent? How much time have you spent with that person, which will dictate that being red flag or not. Another red flag that I see within women, and this is gonna be something that people are going to be very very surprised by. Really not surprised by, but this is gonna be an obvious one, fellas, and this is not gonna apply 100% to men as well. Obviously, I'll give you my entire point of view, but this is gonna be women with high body counts. This is a huge red flag. If she is, especially if she is young, let's just say she's 18, 19, or 20, she has a body count exceeding 10. That means she wasn't able, first, to be truly respected by the men she's dealt with, and two, for whatever reason, men did not take her serious enough to try to cuff her. So that's automatically a red flag right there. Obviously, it says a lot more about her character, right? And I would say that can say a lot more about that person's character, that woman's character, than it can say about a man's character, right? Now, you should never treat yourself casually, right? That's it's gonna be my best advice is don't treat yourself casually, right? Because the more you treat other people casually, the more casually you will treat yourself, right? So obviously it's gonna vary by age, right? If you're 25 and you have a body count of let's just say 15, it's gonna be a lot more acceptable as opposed to let's just say you're like 16, 17, 18, and yeah, you have a body count of what did I say, like 20, whatever it was, 15, 20, 25, whatever I said. It's going to be different. It's going to be viewed differently, right? Like I said, this is going to say a lot more about that person's character. Um, yeah, regardless of the number, it'll tell you a part of their life. And yeah, so I had a conversation with coworkers about this today, right? So I'm going to give you my point of view, right? Why doesn't it exactly apply to men as well, right? Now, now what I will say is this, for men in particular when it comes to body count, it is a lot easier for women to have sex than it is for men to have sex. That's what I will say. So, if you're a man and you have a high body count, the odds of you actually bringing somewhat more value than just the way you look into an interaction is going to be a lot higher of a probability than if you're a woman and you bring all a woman has to do is bring her looks. That's it. Now, for a man, that's not exactly the case. They have to bring a lot more than that. They have to bring a sense of comfortability. They have to bring a sense of charisma. They have to be confident. They have to be this and this and this and this, right? Just to, add a notch to their body count, right? So it's going to take a lot more for a man to do that than a woman, right? So with that being said, I'm not recommending men to go out and just go ahead and sleep with whoever they like. That's not my advice to men, right? My advice to everyone is, don't treat yourself casually. Don't treat other people casually. That's what I'll say. But with that being said, fellas, if a woman has a high body count versus a man have a high body count, society is going to view them differently. I didn't create it this way, right? This is just something I observed. So don't get mad at me for saying some shit like this when in reality, I didn't make it this way. This is just the way that I see. These are nothing more than my observations, okay? So definitely avoid women with a high body count. And like I said, it's going to vary upon her age. But just know, if she treated herself casually and no man committed to her, there's going to be a lot more red flags than that, big dog. So that's all I'm going to let you know, man. Saw a TikTok and this dude said his body count was 500. See, that's excessive. That's excessive at that point, right? Obviously, it takes a lot less to be very, very excessive like that. But at the same time, and I'll use this analogy. And you guys can, take it for whatever you would like, right? Let's just say you're Kim K, and you have a body count of 500. Okay, men are not gonna want you. If men knew for damn sure your body count was 500, no man is gonna want to commit to you. Simple, right? And I feel like women also get. I'm gonna add this to the red flags. Women get a red flag within a woman is when she's getting validation from men and she thinks that's actual relationship potential. Most men are just trying to fuck. That's it. That's all they're trying to do. So a lot of women, that like I said, get excessive male validation. They will see, um, a lot of male attention that they're getting, and they say, I deserve a man, a good man, and I'm gonna treat a lot of these people casually, right? What she must realize is, fellas, a lot of those people just want to fuck. They don't actually want a relationship with you. Don't get it twisted now. Um, no one wants someone who's easy. 100%, 100%, right? Of course, like I said, it obviously depends on the phase in life you are in. But yeah, I would agree. Yeah, you shouldn't want somebody who's particularly easy, for sure. One thing I want to mention with that as well is, let's just say, like I said, going back to my example, let's just say you're Kim K, you have a body count of 500. You think any man's going to want to commit to you? There's going to be plenty of men that want to sleep with her for whatever reason. I don't understand it, my own personal self. Of course, there's going to be plenty of men that want to, sleep with you, but, they're not going to want to commit to you. Right. Now, let's just say you're Michael B. Jordan, right? And you have a body count of 500. Do you think women are still going to want to commit to him? Now, there's going to be a lot more women that want to commit to somebody who has a body count like 500 if you're Michael B. Jordan, or if you're, a guy who brings value. At the end of the day, it's Michael B. Jordan, right? That's the example that I'm using. The guy is still the guy, right? It's his value isn't dependent on how many people he slept with, right? Because a man's value isn't wrapped up in his chastity like a woman is, right? Like women are, right? And like I said, I didn't make it this way. This is just what the majority. This is just how the majority views it, right? Fucking Jaden, god damn it. But going back to what I was saying, right? If Michael B. Jordan has a body count of 500, he's still Michael B. Jordan. Women are still gonna want to be in a relationship with this man. Obviously, they're gonna want to sleep with him, but obviously, they're gonna want a relationship with this man. But if you're a woman who's like, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this very, very lightly, and it's very, very sarcastic. A high value woman like Kim K, and she says, "Oh yeah, I have a body count of 500." No man is gonna even want to touch her with a 10-foot pole. At least I wouldn't. Of course, there's gonna be some men that are absolute dogs that would still, would sleep with her. But at the end of the day, no man's gonna want to commit to her. Simple as that. That's the only difference. That's the only difference is a man's value is wrapped up in the value that he brings to the world. A woman's value is supposed to be protected by her own self. It's supposed to be protected. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Going into it, right? I'm kind of. This is gonna be a long podcast, fellas. Another red flag that I see time and time again within women, and this is something that I've had to reconstruct a lot of the time because I'm a person of value. And with this being said, I've seen this time and time again, and I would say most women's view of this is unfortunately very, very misconstrued for whatever reason, which I'll get into those as well. A woman's A red flag that I see within women is women who have a misconstrued perception of true masculinity, right? They have this perception of masculinity that is so negative, that is like almost like a dictatorship type of view on them, right? They have never had a quality man or a quality example of what a masculine figure is supposed to look like. So therefore, if they see any man that has any type of morals and values and a foundation, if he puts any restrictions on her at all, she's automatically going to view it as like a dictator instead of a leader, right? And you must realize that the masculine, I would say the masculine, men can be dictators. The masculine is a leader. It's different. It's different, right? Now, the reasoning for doing, they could be doing the same thing. So, for example, right, this is going to be the example that I've seen time and time again. Let's just say I'm a person who doesn't like my women talking to other men, right? Or I do not allow my women to have male friends, right? For obvious reasons. Okay. Now, my reasoning for that versus another man's reasoning for that could be completely different, but at the same time, the reasoning is gonna matter more because there's certain women that would view that as, oh yeah, he's just trying to control me, right? And they get that conflated, right? They combine those two things because they haven't detached, they haven't seen, like I said, that good example of masculinity. So therefore, it's going to be construed, or misconstrued rather. And let's just say, like I said, I do not allow my women to have male friends, right? My reasoning for that is going to be a lot more thorough, right? And with that being said, a lot of women can see that as controlling, even though I have true good intentions and my reasoning is solid. So they're not gonna be able to correctly distinguish whether a man is trying to control them or trying to lead them. That's all I'm gonna say. And I've seen it time and time again. I literally have to reconstruct and remold. And I've done this a few times. What masculinity is supposed to look like for them because they don't know. They don't know what a good leader looks like. They don't know when to trust or when to be comfortable around someone. It's very very sad and very yeah, that's the way I would describe it. It's very very sad. I've seen it time and time again, and it's just something that's like, man, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And my friends that I've talked to as well, when they talk to women, right, they say the same shit. They say the same shit, like, because I hang out with quality men, right, and they say the same shit. They say, yeah, I have to damn near reconstruct the way that she thinks about men because I'm not like the men that she's dealt with in the past. And of course, like I said, I'm not going to recommend for any man to hurt a woman for sure, but a lot of women have been hurt. And with that being said, that's going to be a lot of baggage for the good men. And I'm not saying like good men as like the men that women don't want. I'm saying good men as like, the actual gentlemen of the world, right? It's going to be a lot for someone to put up with. Like me, for example, right? I'm obviously a gentleman for sure. So with that being said, if I meet a woman and she's automatically giving me this, she puts up this wall with good reason because of the men she's dealt with in the past. She doesn't know exactly when to let that wall down, especially when I'm not like the person that she's or the people that she's dealt with in the past. So, if you see a woman and I'm gonna say it's a red flag because it also can go back to her not having the father or like I said, having the masculine figure. Now, I'm not saying this is one that isn't going to be able to be overcame. It's just going to take a lot more. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to take a lot more. And there's gonna be a lot of moments of resistance, moments of uncomfortability. But yeah, I would definitely say when I see that in women and they're a little bit abrasive, they're a little bit too headstrong. I'm just kind of like, yeah, she can have her reasons. She has her reasons. Exactly, she can have her reasons. But like I said, your mission is to go ahead and be able to evaluate quality from not quality, right? Most women are not able to do that. They just say most men are shit. So I'm gonna treat every man like they're shit until they prove me wrong. When in reality, you should have a clean slate and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna allow this person to, develop their own opinion, and then, obviously, don't make assumptions. Allow people to come in and you evaluate based off of that, right? That's the way that I would say for sure. But I've dealt with it time and time again, unfortunately. But it is what it is. Moving on to the next one. This is going to be one that I've seen time and time again as well, right? This is a huge red flag for women, huge red flag, and I can't say this for men. Obviously, this is going to be exclusively for women. A red flag that I see within women is women who throw their independence in your face, right? Okay, if you're independent, cool, right? I don't need you to tell me. I don't need you to tell me you're independent. I don't need you to tell me that you're self-sufficient. I don't need you to tell me that you don't need a man. I don't need to hear that. And the reason for that, right? And there's this certain narrative that's going on in society where women say that they don't need men. Fellas. That's the farthest thing from the truth, right? Now, men could say the same thing. Hey, I don't need a woman. He just sounds like a fucking idiot when he says that. Women, when I see a woman, she's like, I don't need a man, right? Now, if I see that, automatically I think you're stupid to an extent. I'm gonna be honest with you. Because like I said, if a man said that same thing about, oh yeah, I don't need a woman, you look like an idiot, bro. In order to live the most fulfilled life that you possibly can live, you're going to need a partner, right? Now, I'm not saying that you exactly need that person, but to act like you don't need them at all is the farthest thing from the truth. You're gonna get the most happiness and most fulfillment from a partner. That's just the way that life is, right? Now, what I will say though, and like I said, this is gonna be controversial, is if anyone would say, I don't need the other person, it'd probably be men. Men. I would say men are a little bit more, independent in the sense of like I said, not needing anything, not truly needing anything, right? Like I said, women, a lot of women, like I said, they want a family, right? There's some men that are that completely content with not having a family at all. They just want to focus on their grind, and of course, that goes hand in hand with women as well. But I would say a lot more men, they have that point of view, and like I said, I don't particularly agree with that, right? I would say, I need a woman. And I can say that. I could say that because that's the healthy thing to say. Is I know that by myself I'm self-sufficient, but I don't need to say, hey, you know what? I'm dating a woman. I'll say, you know what? I really don't need you, because it ruins the entire point of the entire interaction. So, like I said, if you're gonna be an independent woman, that's cool. Don't say, I'm an independent woman. I don't need you. All men are trash. Once you start getting into that narrative, man, throw it in the trash, man. You're literally wasting my fucking time. And like I said, if you seen it any different, let me know, man. Let me know, man. Um, but yeah, like all I'm saying is, if men had that same point of view, society would be laughing at him because they say, hey, you're gonna want to live the most fulfilled life, so you're probably gonna need a woman, right? And obviously, I'm talking in the sense of being straight, obviously, right? But men need women, women need men. That's the way that life is, right? You can't go around it any specific way. Also, one thing I want to mention as well, and I'm kind of getting off into a little tangent, but I'm gonna raise my daughter to be independent and self sufficient herself. But also, one thing more importantly is I want her to be able to be vetting for quality, understanding what quality looks like and what quality doesn't look like. And the reason why women, they have this sense of throwing the independence in their face is because they haven't had quality men in their life, right? They just haven't had quality men in their life. That's it, right? That doesn't mean that quality men don't exist. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. So if you see a woman, she's saying, I don't need men, this and this and this, right? It's automatically gonna be a red flag. Can you still prolong the interaction? Yes, you can, right? But it's gonna say a lot about her. And if they have to throw that independence in your face, instead of just saying, I can take care of myself, right? I would much rather say, I would much rather a woman say, I take care of myself. Um, I want a man in my life, but I just need to find the right person, as opposed to saying I don't need a man. You look fucking trashy. You look stupid when you say that shit. So don't say that shit. If you're a woman, take that advice, and if you're a man, also take that advice when it comes to evaluating the woman that you want in your life. The next thing, this is going to be another red flag that I see within women. I'll make this one very, very short. Women who struggle to make friends with other women. I want a woman who's going to be a very, very positive person, right? With that being said, if a woman is very, very, you know, conflicting when it comes to making friends with other women, that's going to be a red flag. That's going to be a red flag because uh, women should be friendly. Women should be friendly at the end of the day, right? They're more um, they value people more than guys do. Guys value things. Usually, women value people for the most part. And with that being said, I'm not saying men don't value people and women don't value things, but I'm saying mm, that's why certain people that's why most women choose jobs based off of people, and most men choose jobs based off of things. Okay, that's all I'm trying to say. But yeah, if you're talking to a woman and she's struggling to make friends with other women, and more importantly, I'm gonna make this very, very clear, is only friends with guys. Huge red flag. Huge red flag. That's all I'm gonna say, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Moving on. This is another one. I've seen this in the field too much, man. This shit's so funny. This shit's so funny. Another red flag that I see within women is women who cling on to people who have done them dirty, right? That's holding on to exes, that's holding on to, friends that have done you dirty in the past, things like that, right? I've seen it time and time again where it's a comfortable person, but even though they know damn well that person did them wrong, they still want to keep them around for some reason, right? This goes hand in hand with men and women, right? If you see a man, he's clinging on to people who have hurt him in the past and have done him dirty, but he still wants them in his life, whether it's a male friendship or a female friendship, whatever. Red flag, instantly red flag. Um, I can kind of say this one already. Women, another red flag that I see within women are women who are overly friendly with men. It's pretty self-explanatory, fellas. If she's overly friendly with men, is a flirt. It's not the woman that I want personally. Um, all right, the next two, I'll mention them very very quickly. I need to get into the red flags with men, but women who dress provocatively, another red flag. If she's a woman who's dressing, to only seek male validation, that's going to be a red flag for sure, right? Wearing certain things, wearing less in order to get attention, like that goes back with the male validation and things like that. Then, yeah, that's gonna be a red flag, right? Me personally, I like my women to not dress a certain way, right? To not be having her tits out, to not be having her ass out, right? That's ideally my shit, right? But yeah, yeah. So it's as simple as that. Another thing I want to mention as well, when it comes to red flags that I see within women, is going to be women who are in an emotionally resisting state. So this kind of goes hand in hand with the committing aspect, right? The emotional commitment. If a woman is unable to emotionally commit, that's tough. That is just going to be tough in itself, right? Um, I've seen it time and time again, and I've seen it through my friends as well, where they'll meet a woman. I'm not really trying to, I'm not really trying to do this. I'm not trying to really, find a man. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to live my life, this and this and this. Or, you meet them and they don't want to build an emotional attachment. They like you, right? You like them. You guys are hanging out, but they're very very resistant and very very like very careful with being emotionally vulnerable, which is obviously needed within any relationship. You need to be emotionally vulnerable, but that is another one that I've seen time and time again. All right, another red flag that I see, and this is I'm speaking a lot, but another red flag that I see is people who aren't active, who are active on social media but don't respond. Right, this is gonna go for men and women. Right, if you're talking to somebody, you see them active for hours and hours on end, but they still won't read your message or respond. Red flag. They obviously do not like you. You must move on from them. People who truly value you and truly want to give you attention will give you the attention and not just act like they do. Right. You must pay attention to actions and not words. Another one that kind of goes hand in hand with that one is going to be people who aren't consistent with responding. Of course, everybody's busy in their own life, right? But you make time for what you want to make time for. It's simple as that, right? You make time for what you want to make time for. If that person isn't making enough time for you, you must find a person who will make enough time for you. It's kind of common sense, but you still see people who are trying to talk to people who don't want to talk to them truly, who aren't consistent with texting, who aren't consistent with seeing them. They still want to go ahead and spend time with that person, even though it doesn't make any sense. But just know that is definitely a red flag, and if they wanted to, they would. Right? I'm sure you guys heard that saying before. Um, if they wanted to give you their time and attention, they would. And if they don't, maybe you should find somebody that will. Simple. Another one. This is gonna go hand in hand, like I said, with women and men. Right. Another red flag within people is going to be being attracted to toxic traits. This is so the ultimate red flag. The ultimate red flag. If you see yourself doing certain tendencies, or if you observe a woman's actions or observe a man's actions, and he's constantly attracted to toxic traits, or she's constantly attracted to toxic traits. Yeah, get the fuck up out of there, fellas. Get the fuck up out of there. And this kind of goes hand in hand with waiting on somebody who's not consistent, right? Somebody who truly doesn't want to give you that attention. If they're still trying to, I would say you're toxic for trying to fucking keep waiting for people who are not consistent, who truly do not value your time. Um, because like I said, that I would say you're attracted to a toxic trait. You're attracted to somebody's toxic. So that's what I will say. So reciprocate the same energy. That's all I'm gonna say, man. Reciprocate the same energy. If they're not giving you the energy that you want, like I said, somebody will. Somebody will give you the energy that you want. So therefore, you just get along with that, man. Another one. This is gonna go kind of go hand in hand with both as well, right? Another red flag that I see within people is going to be being a person who says one thing and acts another way. Like I said, not being a person of your word. Um, Pay attention to actions, men and women, right? You must pay attention to their actions because their actions are going to tell everything, right? They can say all the right things, but if their actions do not align, there's going to be a little bit of an inconsistency, and that is a red flag in itself, man. So if you see a person that is saying one thing and acting a completely different way, man, like I said, you just automatically have that red flag in mind, saying, "Hey, that's just not a good look, man. That's just not a good look." All right, getting into it, like I said, if you have any more red flags for women, make sure you let me know. I'm going to get into the red flags within men. These are going to be ones that I stress very, very thoroughly, okay? Men, red flags within men that I see all the time. So, red flags that I see within men are going to be men who cannot control their anger, right? This is a huge red flag because this is kind of goes hand in hand with the violence, and it says a lot of things about this man, right? If he's unable to control his anger, let's just say he had a bad day, he punches a fucking hole in the wall, right? That man's not in control of his fucking anger, right? So therefore, that is red flag. So fellas, women, make sure you stay away from men who cannot control their anger, right? Obviously that's just a very, very small example, but you're not gonna want to have kids with a man who's literally in control, not in control of his anger, right? It's just not attractive. It's not good for your children. It's not a good person to be around. Period. So therefore, yeah, make sure you're with a man who's going to be very, very in control of not only his anger but also his sadness, right? This is the next one, right? A red flag that I see within men is men who aren't in control of their sadness, and of course, there's going to be outliers to the situation. Sadness is going to come in many different aspects, but most men or most women do not want a man who's crying all the fucking time. They just don't want that shit. So when I say can't control their sadness, I'm saying a man who's overly emotionally expressive, right? This goes hand in hand with any negative emotion, sadness, anger, whatever it is, right? Um, Huge red flags within men. Men are supposed to be stoic, right? They're supposed to be controlled, right? And if you see a man who, like I said, can't control their anger or can't control their sadness, cries every fucking time you see him, or every other time you see him, he's crying for whatever reason, automatically, you're not going to be attracted to that man. It's automatically a red flag, for sure. Another red flag that you see within men, and if you take offense to this, I don't care. I don't care because I'm gonna be completely honest with you, right? Red flags that I see within men is men who do not work out, who do not physically care about their physical vessel, right? That's not the type of man you want to be around. You want to be around a man who's a good leader. And in order to be a good leader, a man must be able to lead himself properly. If he's unable to lead himself properly, which is, taking care of his physical vessel, being a protector for the ones that he loves in any capacity, if he's unable to do that or he doesn't do that, he does not have your best interest in mind, and he also doesn't have his own best interest in mind. You must stay away from men who don't work out or are not athletic. You can say what you want, but all I'm gonna say is, the more physically capable a man is, the more the more likely he's able to handle certain situations when physically he's gonna need to be competent, right? Whether this is like I said, protecting your loved ones, lifting something. If he's unable to do that, unable to be a competent man in that aspect, automatically a red flag. Automatically a red flag. Do not, and this is gonna be my advice to women, right? Do not date a man who doesn't work out. He's a fucking lame. He's a fucking lame. Even if he can make a lot of money, but if he's not in shape, if he can't protect you, what the fuck is the point? What's the point? What's the point? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like I said, if he's not physically capable, you should not even want to be around a man who's not physically capable. It's just goofy. It's just goofy. Like I said, you're gonna want a man. You're gonna want a man who is gonna be able to protect you. And if he can't protect you, then you're doing something wrong, man. You're doing something wrong. All right. Came from Snap, man. Jonathan, appreciate you for stopping by, my guy. All right. Next red flag that I see within men is going to be a person who isn't a person of their word, right? This goes hand in hand with men and women, but more in particularly men. If you're dating a man and he's not a man of his word, let's just say he cancels on you a few times, or he says he wants to make this commitment, he never makes the commitment, right? That's going to be a red flag, right? You want a man who's going to be a man of his word, right? That is respectable. That shows some type of reliability. That shows some type of accountability for his own actions. And also, if he isn't a man of his word, and there's going to be certain occasions where you can't, commit to your word completely, right? There's going to be certain situations that happen like that. Now, it's going to say a lot more about the man's character if he apologizes for that and says, you know what, it'll never happen again, and he actually, is truthful about that, right? That's gonna say a lot more about his character. But yeah, if a man doesn't, handle himself correctly, isn't a man of his word, and more importantly, let's just say, like I said, the small situations where he's, unable to keep his word, if he doesn't, handle it in a respectful manner, and his future actions don't exactly show that he's learned his lesson, then it's obviously a red flag. Obviously, a red flag. That is something that I take very, very much into account. So, uh, definitely something that you want to go ahead and avoid when it comes to dating men. Yeah, if you want to hear the dating red flags for women, make sure you go ahead and watch the first like 30 minutes of this. Like 30, 35, 40 minutes. That's going to be, if you want to know what I have to say about women, make sure you go and say that. But if you're watching this or watching this live, make sure you go and leave a comment. If you guys have any comments before I end it off, if there's any comments that you want me to evaluate when it comes to red flags, make sure you go and leave them in the comments for sure. I'm going to get on with the red flags that I have for men. Another red flag that I see within people in general. I'm gonna say men and women, but more importantly men. But I see this a lot more within women, unfortunately, is going to be people who do not take accountability for their actions. If you're a person who's not able to, like I said, keep their word, or you do something wrong and you don't say, you know what, that's my bad. That's my own issue that I need to deal with, and I will handle on my own. If you're dating somebody who's not like that, who isn't accountable for their actions, or who tries to play the victim, right? That's another red flag I see within people who try to play the victim and think everything's happening negatively to them, instead of saying, hey, you know what? I recognize that behavior within myself. It's not ideal. I will try my best to go ahead and correct it in the future, right? That's respectable. But if you're trying to lay down a boundary, and they step over your boundary, and then they try to blame it on you instead of taking accountability for their own actions, fellas, stay the fuck away from that shit. Man or woman, stay away for damn sure. So simple as that, man. Another red flag within men, and this is going to be an obvious one, fellas: men who cheat, right? If you see a man who cheats, send him back to the streets, ladies. Simple as that, man. So men who cheat, whether this is something that they've done in the past or something that they will do in the future, or something that, like I said, is happening right now, fellas, or women, right? Stay the fuck away from men who cheat. For whatever reason, y'all women like men who cheat. Y'all stay with men who cheat. Y'all are so loyal to a fault, man. I've seen this time and time again. I've talked to women, man. Oh yeah, he cheated on me, but I stayed. You're so stupid, bro. He doesn't even like you like that. Man, come on, man. Like I said, that's all. That also goes hand in hand with another red flag within men. Men who cannot control their sexual urges. That is a huge red flag. Huge red flag in any capacity. Um, if you're a man and you're not able to be able to control your lust, it's gonna make you act out in certain ways that you shouldn't act, right? That's gonna make you cheat. That's gonna make you uh, do a bunch of activities that you shouldn't be doing. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Hopefully you understand what the hell I'm trying to say with that. But a red flag that I see within men all the time is a man who cannot control his urges. A man must be tame. A man must be able to tame the inner beast of lust. If he's not able to do that, that's going to be a red flag. Period. Right now, how he ever goes about that is up to him. But if you're a woman trying to find a husband, and a man that cannot control his sexual urges comes across you, like, he's more likely to cheat. Yeah, he's more likely to cheat, right? Obviously, you don't want a man who's a victim, nothing more than a victim to his own urges, right? You need a man who's going to be very, very controlled and tame, right? Simple as that. Now, it doesn't mean he doesn't have those urges, but at least he's able to control them shits, because a man that can't control his urges, not a good man. Not a good man, in my opinion. This is another one that goes for everybody, right? I have this one in men's, but a red flag that I see within people are people who call their ex crazy. I've seen it time and time again, fellas. It goes both ways. Of course, there's going to be some exes that are truly crazy, for sure. But that kind of goes hand in hand with accountability. What the fuck made him crazy, right? What the fuck made them crazy? Did you do some shit that made them crazy, or they were just crazy on their own, right? Obviously, you're lacking context, but I've seen a lot of women. I've seen a lot of men. Oh yeah, my ex is crazy. Okay, why are they crazy? Oh yeah, well, I acted a certain way. Well, no shit, they're fucking crazy for that. Of course, you're not being faithful. You're not being loyal. Whatever it is, right? Um, but yeah, I see that within men and women, right? When they say, "Oh yeah, my ex is crazy," right? Of course, your exes are obviously your exes for a reason, but at the same time, if it's more crazy to be with somebody who's crazy than it is to, yeah, I would say it's as simple as that, right? I would say as simple as that, right? Let's just say you're dating somebody and then they're crazy. You obviously didn't vet properly in the dating process. You just didn't. You just didn't. You just. It's more of a red flag if you tell me your ex is crazy because you actually put up with that bullshit. Might say a lot about you. You never know. You never know. That's all I'm gonna say. You never know. Another red flag that I see within men. I'm gonna say stay away from these men. These men are not gonna be exactly the most ideal for you. Um, this is going to be men who aren't socially calibrated, right? Who are not good at, like, who aren't like seductive, or who aren't charismatic in certain ways, who aren't able to be confident, right? Or who aren't able to read the room, right? Men who aren't able to read the room, or like I said, be able to have this seductive nature, or who's able to communicate, who's able to make eye contact, who's able to maintain a conversation. These are going to be men who are socially not calibrated. Unfortunately, most men are not socially calibrated. So I would say most men are a red flag. I would say that for damn sure. Now, with this being said, can you help them out? Yes. If you want to help them out, yes, go ahead and help them out. But when it comes to evaluating for your own partner, I'm going to say this right now. A man who is not socially calibrated is going to be lacking in a lot of aspects, and it's almost not even worth your time if you're a woman who's dealt with men who are competent in that aspect. It's almost not worth your time to go ahead and help them out. But that's going to be a little bit of a controversial one, fellas. But at the end of the day, man, I'm gonna let you know, if you're not socially calibrated, you better find some social calibration, fellas. You better be able to read the room. You better be able to handle yourself and carry yourself in a way that's going to be attractive to women. Because if you're not, society will leave you behind, man. You will not have any options when it comes to the dating marketplace. I'm just gonna let you know that right now. So, yeah, red flag that I see within men who are not socially calibrated, man. You better figure that shit out. If you're a man, you better figure that shit out, man. You better go through trial and error, do whatever you can to be socially calibrated, because women don't want to deal with you. Women don't want to deal with you. Period. Obviously, most men, like I said, are not socially calibrated. They have to learn how to act in certain situations, of course. But it's a red flag. Fucking, it's a red flag for damn sure. And this is gonna go hand in hand with not being socially calibrated, but men who cannot. And this is gonna go for both people, but I wrote this down specifically for men. Red flags that I see within men are men who are not able to communicate effectively, right? Um, whether this is getting to know somebody, whether this is trying to build a relationship, right? Whatever it is, if you're a man and you're not able to effectively communicate, and this goes for hand in hand with women as well, right? I've seen a lot of women who are not able to you properly communicate effectively, communicate their emotions. That's going to run you into a lot of problems. That's going to run you a lot into people's certain boundaries and certain things. If a man isn't properly uh, capable of communicating effectively, his boundaries and certain things like that, which are very, very important. He's gonna run you into certain situations where you're gonna cross his boundary, and instead of saying, you know what, I should have told you this before, but that is my boundary. They're just gonna act out, emotionally, and obviously that's not ideal, right? It goes hand in hand with women, right? If a man acts a certain way, but yet you didn't properly communicate effectively, and lay down your foundation of boundaries, it was bound to happen anyways. You can't get mad at the man for that, for you not properly communicating. It was bound to happen anyways. So simple as that. Another red flag that I see within men are going to be men who don't respect boundaries. If a woman lays down boundaries and the man steps over these boundaries constantly, that is going to be an automatic red flag. That is going to be a man who isn't respectful. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of obvious red flags within men and women. I don't have to specifically say. Obviously, uh, those who lack respect, I don't necessarily need to say that. Whether this is women who have a respect for men, or rather a man who has a respect for women. Obviously, that should go without saying, but yeah, obviously there's a lot of men who are not good men and who are not respectful, and who do not respect boundaries. Obviously, those are red flags. Obviously, um, another red flag that you see within men who are not who don't plan dates, right? Who don't plan dates. If you're a man, you don't plan dates, man. Red flag, man. And women, when they're evaluating you, and if they see you do not plan dates, red flag, red flag. A man who's able to go ahead and plan dates is going to be more of a competent man. It's going to say a lot more about his planning and leadership than anything, of course. Um, yeah, another red flag within men who are not good leaders, right? That's up to you to be able to figure out whether he's a good leader or not. But there should be certain tendencies that will show you that he's not a good leader. So along with this, I'm kind of dragging this one on, but along with this, if he can't lead himself properly, he's probably not going to lead you properly. If he doesn't have his best interest in mind, he's probably not gonna have your own best interest in mind. That's gonna be my advice to women. Also, yeah, that's what I will say. That's what I will say. Other than that, fellas, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it up to the comments. I'm gonna be heading out here in a minute. If there's a specific red flag that I didn't hit on or you think is worth mentioning, I want you to go ahead and leave in the comments right now. Like I said, these are live comments. Whether you're responding to me in over live or rather later on. If you're rewatching this and you have a comment that you think needs to be mentioned when it comes to red flags within dating, within men or women, I want you to go ahead and leave in the comments. KJ, champ spitting facts. Man, come on now, fellas. I hope so, man. Hope. Putting a lot of work, man. A lot of planning, a lot of thought into these videos, man. So I'll leave you guys. I'll give you guys about 5 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and discuss those, and then I'll go ahead and wrap it up, man. Appreciate everyone for stopping by, and make sure to leave a like on the video if you did enjoy this, or if you took anything away from this. Like I said, I'm trying to help both men and women in this podcast. I'm trying to help you navigate dating a little bit more, and hopefully look out for certain things that you maybe not have looked out for in the beginning. So hopefully, if you took anything from this podcast positively, I want you to go and let me know about that as well. All right. Yeah, because this one, like I said, I could make probably 4 or 5 parts to this episode. So, if I figure out enough that I didn't mention on today's podcast, maybe I'll have a part 2, maybe potentially a part 2 if I didn't. Hopefully, get my point across. Ultimately, my message is at the end of the day, red flags. A lot of people have a lot of red flags. That's what I'm gonna say, right? Now, it's your ability to go ahead and vet for the right person that has the least amount of red flags, or at the very least can be fixed to an extent. I'm not saying look for people who need to be fixed, but I'm saying if you see a person and obviously everybody's a work in progress. If that a person is worth it, has a lot of green flags, you might need to go ahead and do what you got to do to go ahead and preserve that person. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say, man. Stay wary of these red flags. Yeah, that's all I gotta say, man. Exactly, man. KJ, you already know what time it is, man. Hopefully, you know what to stay away from nowadays, man. Because sadly, I'll say this, and this is honestly the sad reality. Not a lot of good quality women, not a lot of good quality men. But now, your ability to be able to vet in dating is going to show a lot more about your own personal development as well as your social calibration. If you're a man who's constantly getting done dirty by women, you need to figure some shit out. If you're a woman who's constantly getting done dirty by men, you need to figure some shit out. Maybe you're not picking the right men, right? That's a red flag with women as well. As I've seen time and time again, where women will tell me about the men that they've chosen, right? And it's a man that I know for damn sure isn't a good man just by certain things that they tell me, right? He's not a good man. Now, for whatever reason, they constantly go back and constantly are attracted to them. It doesn't make any sense to me, but yeah, if that's a red flag. If a woman is not able to vet properly for good quality people, or if a man isn't good at quality vetting for women, right? Automatically a red flag, fellas. So stay away from that shit for sure. So yeah, I'll give you guys about 3 more minutes and then I'll go ahead and end it off, fellas. You already know I got to get to the gym, man. You already know what time it is, man. Shout out to Anthony. Shout out to John. You already know what time it is, man. Red flags, man. Red flags. A lot of red flags. If you couldn't tell by now, a lot of red flags. But try to find the quality. Try to find the diamonds in the rough, man. Quality is not common, but once you find quality, you're gonna want to keep that shit as long as you can, man. I'll tell you that right now. Let's see if there's any that I didn't mention real quick before I go and end it off. Like I said, if y'all want to leave a comment real quick before I end it off, make sure you go and leave a comment, man. Okay. So yeah, I can say this one as well. Another red flag that I see within people in general, man or woman, is going to be people who are hypocritical, right? Who say one thing, or rather, who act a certain way or expect you to act a certain way, but in return they don't exactly act that same way themselves, right? That's gonna be a hypocrite. So if you see somebody that's being hypocritical, you can call that shit out. You might want to call that shit out for sure. But yeah, ultimately what it comes down to is this, right? Red flags that are going to come down to women is women who are not able to be in their feminine nature, truly in their feminine nature, and stand for what true femininity stands for. That's gonna be basically the foundation of this. Also, with red flags within men. If you want a quality man, you must find a man who's masculine. That's all I'm gonna say, right? If he's truly a good quality, solid masculine man, he's going to avoid most of these red flags. If a woman is truly feminine and yeah, is in her divine feminine, she's gonna avoid a lot of these red flags. That's all I'm gonna say. That's the foundation of this. I've made plenty of podcasts on the masculine and feminine dynamics, So, if you want to know more about that, I have a few podcasts on that for sure. But ultimately, that's what it's gonna come down to, right? Um, a lot of men right now are giving men a bad name, and a lot of women are calling out the men. A lot of women are hurt right now, and that needs to be acknowledged for damn sure. And all I'm gonna say is, as a man, you better be carrying yourself with quality, man. You better be carrying yourself the best way you possibly can, because, like I said, you got a lot of women talking about these narratives about, oh yeah, men aren't shit, this and this and this, right? Like I said, if you want to be a man who's gonna be able to stand out, you must be a person who's gonna act with high quality character. Simple as that. Same thing with the woman. Um, like I mentioned, there's not a lot of quality women. If you want to be a quality woman, I'm gonna say take some of my advice, man. Take some of my advice, even if it's a little hard to hear at first. Even if you don't exactly agree with it, all I'm gonna say is I have your best interest in mind when it comes to you finding a quality man. I want people to find quality people, and it's as simple as that, man. It's as simple as that. Yeah, that's what it's gonna come down to. I'm trying to look out for y'all, and it's as simple as that. Y'all have a good night, man. I'm about to go ahead and wrap it up, man. A few things I want to mention. This was Life of a Champ podcast, episode number 117, talking about dating red flags. Like I said, I'll probably be making a part 2 to this, maybe in like 60, 70 podcasts from now. But appreciate everyone stopping by. Other than that, I'll leave you guys off with the podcast motto. Fellas out here, man, we don't just work around here, man. We outwork. So make sure y'all working these motherfuckers every single day, because you know I am, man. I'm headed to the gym right now. Y'all have a good night, and stay tuned in for the podcast that I'll be having on Tuesday of next week. So tap in with that for sure. Y'all have a good night, and like I said, tap in next week, man.